Welcome back to the Participation Trophy podcast. This is episode 16. It's a new year, but I'm here with all the same old friends. As always, joining me on the podcast are Abdullah, Jamal, Neil, and Zane. We've got a new addition to start 2021 off with. How are the newborn nights treating you, Abdullah John?
Yo, Sabrina, baby Sabrina Jade. Finally had the baby, no Von Miller. And in fact, she's actually right here.
Oh,
I'm gonna bring her out like a TV show.
Oh, look at that!
Look at
There
that.
she is. Yeah.
hey, check out our YouTube page.
She is
Neil,
the living testament
Neil,
that I'm still able to reproduce.
For those people who are listening, let them know what they're watching right now.
A young, how many days old, Abdullah?
Officially 8 days old.
An 8-day-old offspring of one Abdullah Sharif.
Oh man.
Yes, I am still capable of reproducing humans into this world. I'm not sure if that's a good thing or not. Nevertheless, I'm making an official statement that I have no immediate plans of pulling out anytime soon. So,
Jesus Christ.
So
starting rough then.
Who knows? From a year today, episode 893 and shit.
Wow.
Might be doing this again.
First baby of the pod, man.
Yeah.
Man, she is out like a light.
We'll go ahead and put her away now.
Put her away.
I am concerned about how you're holding her. This man is like.
That's experience,
no,
man. That's experience. You got the head.
It's straight. All you
cradle
need
perfectly.
That palm,
yeah.
Did you just put her in?
Head.
Did you just put her in the podcast cupboard or something? Like where exactly did you just set her?
There's a mamaroo.
Oh.
You know what a mamaroo
What
is?
is that?
Yeah.
Is that a bassinet? It's like a new version of a bassinet?
It's basically an electronic version of a bassinet or a crib. It's got different settings where you can change the movement.
Oh, okay. I was about to say you said electronic version. Like what is she in the cloud and shit? Like she's just floating?
No, it's you got the car ride.
Yeah. Okay.
You got the wave.
Yeah.
And then they've got different sound effects that you can turn on.
Damn. I want that for my own bed. Shit.
Yeah, fathers are becoming obsolete now, man, with these cribs and shit. Like, what the fuck? It was an easy delivery, just a few minutes actually. When you
Miriam might tell a different story.
Oh yeah, I guess. But when you become a parent of a second child, and Joe and Jamal, obviously, you guys come with plenty of offspring baggage.
Baggage.
I've been comparing like what my experiences between Zara and Sabrina, like every step of the way, from the moment we realized we had conceived, like just through the pregnancy, just kind of gauging my experience now from what it was before, because there's so many differences. And so I think the delivery for Zara was a few hours. Is that something I should know as a husband? Like, am I supposed to know how many hours she pushed? Like, she's gonna listen to this podcast and be like, "You don't even know how many hours I pushed."
Nah, you get a pass on that stuff.
I don't.
As long as you know
so.
Good. So I don't need to be taking notes
date
right
and
now.
You don't even know how long I was in that
an
room.
approximation of the time, like you're good. You're good.
Yeah, the approximation of the time and the weight
like
too,
an anniversary
right?
and shit. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like once you went in there, you're not. So one of my friends, his wife's pregnant, and he was like, basically, if he's the one that goes in there, he can't leave at any point and come back into the hospital.
That's it. Which hospital was that?
I don't know. I mean, there's a hospital he's scheduled to be at. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, the rule is that only one person can accommodate the mother, right? And it has to be the same person. But they gave me in and out privileges unlimited.
So anything different with COVID protocols? And I mean, did you
just that really?
That
really was that only one person was allowed.
So just a limit on the people.
That was pretty different. It was a lot more intimate. It was just me, her, and the baby.
Few candles.
Few rose petals.
Luther Vandross playing in the background.
Yeah. Barry Manilow.
I remember the thing I loved the most was
He meant Barry White, guys. He didn't.
The thing I loved the most, besides my child being born, was the nourishment center. The snacks that they give you in that little room.
Oh yeah.
Bro,
so I didn't get that until after we moved from labor and delivery to our normal room after she gave birth.
Yeah.
Is when we had that whole like all you can eat pantry and shit.
Nice,
Yeah.
nice.
You get the nut snacks and then the cranberry juice and the orange juice. You got the yogurts in there. Yeah.
And the little the little
cups.
short bus cups and shit.
Bro, but they had the Fairfax is awesome because they got the Chick-fil-A ice. So that's that's a plus there too.
Nice.
We're usually at Fairfax. I say usually like this is my 8th kid and shit, right?
Dang, Philip
Philip
Rivers.
Rivers over here and shit.
Yeah, right. Philip Rivers and shit. Yeah.
How was
but
it?
yeah, this was
How was it with Neil?
Fair Oaks with what?
When you had Neil?
With Neil.
What was Neil's weight?
Man, that was 13 years ago in a rundown Indian shack, man. I don't remember.
13? I was 13 when we met.
I was probably bent off of some like
Yeah.
11.5% like Indian IPA, like a real Indian pale ale, right? Like
Was Miriam
Lord.
understanding of when you brought him into the
What?
relationship? No, it was.
yeah. She hesitated to accept my friend request on Facebook because she saw Neil my profile picture. This is all by the way, listeners, this is all fiction. By the way.
We've never.
It's just gonna start trending on Wizards Twitter. Yo, you know Sharif is
Right.
Neil's father.
Now it all makes sense. It all
this
makes
Hoop District is a family business.
Family-owned business.
family
That'd be
carpet
wild.
and shit.
Oh my.
Well,
Oh man, but hey, go ahead.
well, I was gonna say, what movie was that? Where was it? The Fockers, where he had
Oh, yeah.
he had a kid that they tried to pawn off on him.
The Fockers is nuts, man. That scene where they have preserved his umbilical cord. No, his foreskin
Mm.
in that little vase.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. At dinner when his like foreskin like fell out on the table.
I do.
There
So
are multiple
back to
weird things during that movie.
back to the ice. Did you have the chunky ice at your hospital? You weren't at Fairfax,
Bro,
like your other
I
ones.
honestly don't remember the ice, but I do remember
Not memorable.
the basically the leftover the sandwiches that don't get sold in the cafe kind of come up, make their way up to the pantry into the fridge. So you get a nice little 8-hour-old chicken salad wrap,
Mm. That sounds like the least
You know?
appealing thing ever.
a lot of mayo.
Oh god! As soon as you said
So-
salad, I was like, "Fuck that shit."
Listen,
Hey, I'm with you,
So
Paul.
gross, man.
we're talking about the hospital, man.
Yeah, I get it, but
Yeah.
So let's fast
Um,
forward. I asked your daughter earlier today. I said, "Are mommy and daddy sleeping?" She said,
Yeah.
the baby stays awake all the time." And your mom said that was a lie. So
Yeah.
she's sleeping through the night.
Between 2:30 and 7:30, she's out, which is pretty
that's
good.
really
And,
good.
like she's
yeah.
squirming. Yeah, she's good. We figured out her routine, her eating, shitting routine, and we're actually calculating the ratio between the two because we got to report that shit for like 18-day checkup and shit.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. But so everything's going well. We have our caretaking shifts. I'm a night owl,
Yeah.
so I got the kid till around 1:30, 2 a.m.
Cool.
and then it's proper handoff, and
Yeah.
I'm off to bed because especially now because I was on PTO last week, my paternity leave that I didn't have that I had to use PTO for. We do a segment on that.
What's
Company policy.
what's the early read on Zara and how she's adjusting, and are you all talking enough about, or are you talking early about
Yeah.
like we need to split off and make sure she still gets her
Yeah.
alone time with us and all that good stuff?
Absolutely, yeah. That was definitely something we had on the radar. But hold on,
This is real shit.
some real
Live and
shit.
in the flesh.
You don't get this on any other podcast.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I think if you shake the cage, she'll go back to sleep.
Jesus.
Yo, listen, I might cut some of that
Put it
out.
on
but,
podcast mode.
listen, yeah, Zara's emotions were definitely on our radar,
Yeah.
like going into the birth and all that. But she's my prize, man.
Yeah.
Like it's hard to like subside Zara
Yeah.
from everything. And plus, our whole intention was to keep her involved,
Mhm.
like just kind of give her that big sister move, that big sister
Yeah.
mindset. Like
Yeah.
you're part of this.
Put her in
Yeah,
charge.
She's not taking your place.
Yeah.
You're part of
Yeah.
it. Yeah. Keep her on the front lines. Help wherever she can. So that hasn't really been a problem. I don't think it'll ever be a problem. We'll see. Things change with everything month by month, day to day. So, but for now, she's doing well. It's crazy though, man. The experience of 2 children, it's something that I've been, always fascinated by. And now that it's actually happened, being able to manage both, that was something that was kind of the most, what was causing the most anxiety for me.
Yep.
Was just being able to manage Zara because she's still 4, but it's kind of worked out. Miriam kind of takes the hold on Sabrina, the infant. I make sure Zara's in check, and it kind of just all works out.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
They're girls.
User.
They're girls a little calmer than the boys. Oh my God, be careful with their head. Jesus.
I know.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Neil's losing
Two
his mind
boys,
there.
man. Yeah, that's a little different.
Yeah, the boys are a little bit
right,
different.
Now I
Yeah.
understand
Yeah,
why
look at-
I had so many brain cells missing. You must have ragdolled my head around when I was.
And then the other thing is that we got to worry about the girls once they get to their teenage years. Then it just becomes a whole different issue.
Yeah.
Which God bless you. Take your
thanks.
time getting there.
No, thanks.
So that's welcome news. That's fantastic news for us on the podcast. Our family has grown. Congratulations to Abdullah and Miriam on their beautiful baby Sabrina. It was New Year's. Anybody do anything wild outside of their house and non-COVID? Anybody COVID risk takers out there? Go out and party? Yeah, I didn't.
The fireworks were lit in the neighborhood.
I don't know about you,
What
but I
usually?
felt like as soon as New Year's Eve hits, like I'm gonna want to do some wild shit. Like I'm gonna be so happy to get 2020 over with, and
Mm.
Another day, man.
I didn't feel like I didn't feel like doing shit. Stay right here.
Can we also stop like attributing tragic events to the year it happened?
Yeah,
I get it.
It's just one of
But
those
like
trending,
people say it in a way where like it's gonna be over. In in
not gonna be
2016,
over.
2016, we lost Prince, Gene Wilder, a couple other celebrities. It was pretty bad.
2016 was a pretty bad year for me too.
It was
At least it
pretty
started out
bad.
bad. But I don't know,
Yeah.
man. 2020 was unusually fucking bad.
But it was unusually
mean,
bad. Yeah, it was.
But yes,
And
I
it-
stayed in.
it
I
took-
didn't do anything. Kids
It
were
took
here.
weird people. It
What's
took
that?
weird people.
Huh?
It took people. Bro, Kobe got it started, man, and it
Kobe
was like
set the
we
tone,
never,
yeah.
we
Kobe set
never,
the tone.
Yeah.
we never
January.
recovered. We just never
Terrible.
Yeah.
recovered.
Never
Yeah,
recovered.
we just
that's
Never.
that's more of
tumble
a tragedy than somebody like Prince. Obviously, he was still young, but he wasn't 35, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but just the somber mood that the Kobe death created,
Yes.
we never lifted up from that, right?
Of course, yeah, but it's also the way I
Right.
think it's the way
Right.
people go
It-
out.
Way,
I think
yeah.
It's tragic.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. Well, still,
But-
I don't know what you were trying to get to there, but fuck 2020. I don't care.
Correct.
Fuck 2020.
Yeah, I know, but I think what
mean-
he's trying to say, like this whole the universe doesn't give a fuck about
Right.
It's
Totally
I
doesn't.
don't give a shit.
2021 is still going to
What
be
year it
weak
is.
for.
Yeah, clearly. I mean, the dinosaurs are still pissed off about year 0214.
Well, I mean,
BC, right?
I just hope that 2020 isn't the springboard for worse shit. I don't want to
Oh,
be
don't put that in the
that
universe,
guy,
though.
All
but
right, Flip Saunders.
no, but 2020. I mean, we're far from moving away from what 2020 brought, right? Like this COVID shit.
Yeah, we still in the
Yeah.
pandemic.
It was still in the
Yeah.
pandemic. We still don't know what the fuck is going to happen with the president. We know, but we don't know, right? Like tomorrow's going to be a big day in DC. Like what the fuck is going to happen out
And
there,
it
right?
shouldn't be. That's the crazy shit. It shouldn't be a big day.
It shouldn't
should be a
It
formality.
shouldn't be, but this is where we are, right?
Yeah.
Like these are all the things that this world is dealing with right now.
I think, well, 2020 made us, I think we're so well prepared, at least I would like to think we are, for any future bullshit that pops up. And we're just so much more
Yeah,
cautious
I hope so, man.
with the way we interact with
Yeah.
people and the way we move around physically, that I feel like we are, look, the beginning of the year is going to be much like the last 2 quarters of 2020.
Yeah.
But you can kind of see a better set of days ahead. So I'm
I hope so,
hopeful.
man.
But
Yeah.
I
There's
didn't
a-
pop bottles on New Year's like I thought I was. I was just like, okay,
Yeah.
we made it through.
You home? Were you home the whole time?
Yeah, I didn't leave, man. I didn't leave.
You had the kids or no?
I had the kids. Jack fell asleep early as
Okay.
shit. Yeah, but we were
Yeah.
chilling.
That's what's up, man. That's if there's anything 2020's brought is more intimacy.
Yeah. Yep.
Just all that hoopla, all that other shit. The outside noise kind of just simmered down a little bit, and you kind of just got to focus on the people you love.
And let's be real, if we
yeah.
weren't in COVID, I would just be at somebody's house doing the same shit. I can't go out for New Year's anymore. Shit is a fucking joke, man. Like, dressing up and being out and
Yeah.
getting that fucking bullshit paper party hat and I'm good on that.
When
you-
last year you wore one of those?
Huh?
When's the last time you wore one of those?
It was last year. I was at a hotel last year for New Year's. Out like partying, man, like acting like in the ass, like dancing in the middle of the floor around a bunch of nervous people and shit. And I look back like I would never do that again, man. Like I'm good on all that, man.
Wow.
Has
How
anybody
you've gone
has anybody in the
wiser.
group has anybody in the group ever done Times Square?
You have?
Never.
Wow.
I've done Times Square. I've done a gala. Like I've done all those weird.
So,
like, traditional.
quick question about
New York-
Times Square.
New York-
How early did you have to get out there to get a decent spot?
So bro,
He
yeah,
he
we
peed
were
on
in the
himself,
spot.
Jamal. That's
we
the
were
answer.
5 hours. It was people camp out there. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah.
So if you're showing up at 4 p.m., you're gonna be at least 6 blocks away.
That's
Wow.
crazy. I have
But-
absolutely no desire to do that.
But
Yeah,
it's fine. It's fine. There's not like just the energy, the ambiance, everything.
Did you wear like an adult
Like
diaper?
on all those streets, it's the same. It's the same as because you're still in the mosh pit. Whether you're, would you say?
Did you wear an adult diaper? We gotta take a piss. What do you do?
Just the thought of
Oh my
standing in one area for 8 hours makes me.
It's
Yeah.
no,
In
it's not that.
Stress.
the dead of winter? No.
No, you compound that with being shoulder to shoulder with tens of thousands of people.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
fuck
Like,
COVID, right? Like that's a whole
some
different
Russian
ballgame.
dude.
But even before COVID, I don't want to be around that. I don't want to be in
Yeah.
close proximity with that many people. Like just kind of.
The thing is the energy once midnight hits, once the ball drops, like you forget about all that shit because you're drunk anyways.
Yeah.
You probably already made like 10 different friends,
Yeah.
random ass motherfuckers.
So
Or am I just talking about myself?
No, I can see that. I would like the experience, just not everything else that goes along with it. Like I want to be dropped in for
I like it.
the 5
I
minutes
get
and
it, I
pop
get
back
it.
out.
So if we want to talk about the opposite of the energy that Abdullah's talking about, my New Year's
My life
was spent watching the 0-5 Wizards and
Yeah.
their 2020, and then I came home.
we all did.
Pound-
We all did, Neil.
Pounded 3 shots out of my Wizards shot glass because they were so terrible, and then
Oh.
that was New Year's.
This tough guy.
2020 sucked.
2020 does suck. That we can all agree on that, except for Abdullah. Abdullah wants it to not.
Yeah.
So the good. I'm gonna shit on you all day today. I just want you to know that. Just-
I don't understand.
I've been preparing to
To that
shit on
bottom
you
line.
all day long. Like in
Okay,
every segment, I want to make sure that we get to trash.
I'll
it.
see you in gym class.
Hold on, before we go to gym, the good news about New Year is we're done with Mariah Carey and all of her Christmas songs, so that's finished. I didn't even realize that continues to go all the way to New Year, but we're gonna jump. Speaking of Mariah Carey, so there was a music poll. Sorry, Zane, I didn't perfect that one for you, but
I just wanted to do the soundbite, but I can't. I'm too lazy.
yeah, well, it's all good. There was a music poll that came out today that was actually floating around the internet and going pretty wild about rappers, and it included a group of questions that included favorite rapper of all time, rapper you dislike, the rapper that grew on you, the most overrated, most underrated, and the GOAT. So I think some of these were favorite rapper of all time and the GOAT would probably be about the same thing for everybody who answered the poll, right? I would assume. So
That's
let's-
actually a very interesting.
Yeah.
I disagree.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a, I think there's a
Alright.
difference.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
Wow.
This is
I
a good
would've thought,
discussion,
like,
though. 'Cause
Joe.
I've always wanted to talk about this.
Okay, well, I know Eminem won't be on Zane's list
Hell no.
of favorite rapper or the GOAT. So let's start off. We'll just kind of go through this and conversationally talk through this poll. Favorite rapper of all time. Anybody gonna go ahead and take first swing?
I'll jump out there because probably nobody has heard of my favorite rapper of all time, or you may have heard of him. He's an old pioneer dude. He used to be part of this group called Ultramagnetic MCs. My favorite rapper of all time, personally, is Kool Keith. Kool Keith is like
I know about
pushing
Kool Keith.
80 years old now. I'm exaggerating a little bit, but he's got man, I think he has kind of paved the way for a lot of rappers in the kind of creativity space. So Keith has released albums under multiple aliases. He's been doing this shit since like the mid 80s. And he's kind of teamed up with a lot of different people over the years. But I don't know, when I think of my favorite rapper, I think of what they meant to my life at a particular point. And Keith was instrumental to me embracing how fucking weird I was and how that was okay to be weird when I was like,
Where is he from?
he's from New York, he's from the Bronx, I believe.
Bronx,
From New York.
yeah.
Okay.
And
57 years old for the record.
57, yeah, and still making music. but Keith allowed me again to be expressive. And when I used to write poetry, and when I used to write rhymes, and when I used to, really explore like that left brain side of me,
Yeah.
Keith's music was like my kind of buoy, if you will, because he was that interesting and that fascinating to listen to. And he had a run of albums to me that, he never took himself too seriously.
Right.
He was really all about the scientific, metaphysical type of rhyming back, and that really kind of started to blow up with like the big underground scene in like the mid to kind of late '90s. And I've always enjoyed him, man. So that's my favorite rapper ever, and would always be that way.
What it would be his signature song?
I was gonna ask that.
Signature album probably is he made an album under the alias Dr. Octagon, and it was called Dr. Octagonacologist. And it was really avant-garde for rap. And like, I think that came out of like 1997, if I'm not mistaken. Really highly recognized. It had a lot of crossover appeal. So a lot of people that were into alternative music back then do recognize that album. It had some, just a lot of different
music with MF
sounds.
Doom, right? R.I.P.
He has the music with Doom, absolutely, yeah. And you ask anybody that came up in the rap scene, and I'm thinking the golden age for us is the Wu era and Mobb Deep and those guys. They all fucking grew up on Ultramagnetic and Kool Keith. That was just the backdrop for a lot of New York hip hop coming out, and people recognize Keith for being one of those trailblazers from way back in the day. So that's my guy, man. Love Keith.
Cool.
So I think your take on your favorite of all time is pretty good, pretty accurate, because for me, Wu-Tang is that group. Yeah. Like, I was about 12 years old when I had been listening to hip hop for quite some time before 12, but 12 is when I really started to understand lyrics, beats, just kind of everything that just kind of encapsulated what hip hop was. And for me, Wu-Tang, in 93, 94, I mean, that was where they, hit the mainstream with 36 Chambers. And from that point on, just every individual rapper, Method Man came out in 94, 95 was a great year for Wu-Tang with Liquid Swords, Cuban Links,
Purple Tape,
and Ghostface in 96. So for me, just that whole era, that dominating era of hip hop, especially from New York, having frequented New York a lot as a child because I have family up there. So just that music with that environment, like it was that gritty, raw New York sound, and lyricism just all across all 9 of them. Just kind of really resonated with who I was as a music listener. So Wu-Tang just definitely takes the cake for favorite of all time.
Okay. I'm pretty boring or regular, I guess.
Regular
pop culture favorite. I'm a Biggie guy, always have been.
Yeah.
There was like, no matter where a song is, at whatever point it's at, if I hear it on the radio, I'm not turning it off, and I know every lyric to it. And it was always playing in my car. I was a typical Burke Hispanic with the 2 10-inch subwoofers in the back of my black Acura Integra, trying to attract all the attention.
So would you say you listen to Biggie like substantially more than Tupac?
Yeah, for sure. But I'm not one of those like, oh, I'm Biggie and fuck Tupac. Like I appreciate the shit out of Tupac. I think his lyrics were unbelievable. You sit back and listen to Tupac's, like his whole life story is in all of his albums. Like, it's just, I loved the way that he rapped. But for me, maybe it's just the East Coast beats. Maybe it's my soul background that, like, I love that 70s and 80s R&B stuff. And so I felt like the East Coast rap really kind of incorporated that shit, especially Biggie. Like, he had those beats that just, they always kicked in for me. Yeah. So I'm always been partial to him.
Rap beef in the mid 90s, like it was unreal. That Tupac Biggie beef. If you lived through it, and I know at least 4 or 5 of us have.
Yeah, don't count me.
It was you felt really kind of part of it, and when things transpired, You got nervous.
I stayed nervous. I was just thinking about the
I
infamous
stayed-
Source Awards
exactly.
the other day.
Yeah.
The Source
Yeah.
Awards was like
Can you
a
imagine
crazy
being
moment in
just
hip-hop,
the
yeah.
tension, just to be in that?
Oh my God!
It's
Like
insane.
like just even seeing Tupac in that wheelchair right after he got shot in Manhattan in '94, you're just like, fuck, like
Man,
Yeah.
I
It's
would
like a
have
movie.
loved to
It's
live
like a
through
real
some of
life
this stuff.
movie.
This is crazy.
yeah.
Yeah, they need to make a movie about this.
I couldn't listen to Hit 'Em Up after 9 p.m. Like
Yeah.
that shit.
Oh, yeah.
This motherfucker's talking to me.
The last
Wait.
minute and a half of Hit 'Em Up is just like it's
Yo.
one of the most
I
intense
was like, oh my
experiences.
God. And he's talking about your favorite rappers too, because like Mobb Deep, Nas, all these dudes is who I
It-
listen
and
to.
that shit just ping pong week by week. You know,
Yeah,
it was always
yeah.
something. Remember the New York
Radio
video?
typing it, yeah.
Fucking Dog Pound crushing the
Oh,
buildings.
the new.
And I
Oh,
was like,
shit,
Yeah,
yeah.
there's a lot of crazy
Insane.
shit that happened with that too. Like their trailer got shot up.
yeah.
Yeah.
And that wasn't
And
this
then
song.
Queensbridge comes out with New York with LA.
Mhm.
It doesn't even get nearly
Yeah, it wasn't as good.
as public reception as New York did, but it's still a hard song. It was a tragedy, Mobb Deep.
It's a lot of
Yeah.
dumbass shit. Like even people you forgot about were ensnared in it. Like Common and West Side Connection were beefing.
Yeah.
Like-
yeah, which is a crazy beat. Which comments the bitch in you. This is just to Ice Cube.
Stupid shit. But yeah.
He
He did climate back there.
Wow, that is crazy.
You think Machine Gun Kelly and Eminem is beef? You have no
Yeah,
fucking
that
idea.
ain't right.
Yeah, no,
Not
yo,
a-
bro.
Not even an
Motherfuckers.
increment of that.
That shit,
Motherfuckers got
that shit is crazy. Was it a Tyson fight? Was that where Biggie got shot? Was
No,
it
that was where
after-
Tupac.
Yeah,
After
he-
Tupac got shot.
Tupac.
Tupac got shot
was
after the- yeah,
Biggie got
Tyson
shot
and
after
then
Biggie.
Bible
Biggie got
Wars.
shot after the
Bible Wars.
Bible Wars.
Yeah.
Right.
And he was mocking California when he came up on stage when he was I think he was presenting some award. And he just kind of he just came up with I'm going back to Cali.
Yeah.
So that was a hit,
Yeah,
and that was treated as a mockery by people from the West Coast.
yeah,
And then he comes out and kind of was like, "What's up?" I can't remember what he said, but
yep.
Um,
It's unfortunate.
that
He
was
was
it.
warned
I-
by a lot of prominent people not to come to LA around that time.
oh yeah, they were begging him.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so
I remember being surprised that he actually did go. I thought he wasn't going to.
yeah,
I just felt like, I don't know.
That's
I guess the tensions didn't seem as high to him as it did to us. But
or he was as badass as he claimed he was in
Okay.
his songs,
Yeah.
right? Like he wasn't scared
yeah.
of it.
It's
Whatever.
just sad. I mean, that's what got
it is sad.
Tupac in the situation that he got himself in. Is that bravado of getting caught up in
right,
who you're. You know what I'm saying?
right.
It's dangerous.
It's the story arc, and I know this isn't one of the questions on here, but the story arc that I've actually been most amazed of about over the years has been Snoop, because Snoop was like gangster West Coast rap when I was young, when Neil was a zygote, and it was so crazy to see like Murder Is the Case, and now he's doing fucking potato chip ads with Martha Stewart, smoking
His
pot.
life, and this is a great point you're making, and what I've been looked at him like Snoop, along with the one other person I'd say The Rock, right? And this is hear me out, is like those two guys are like the most likable guys on the
Mhm.
Yep.
planet.
Mhm.
I'm with you.
Mhm.
Snoop is that he's just cool. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Yeah.
And to think about, like you said, Murder Was the Case that they gave me. He was on trial for his life. He was pretty much very good friends with Tupac up until shortly before his death, and he survived all of that. Like that's fucking nuts.
he did it right. He did start him right. I mean, he could have easily earned the fame, the money, and did some stupid shit.
Well, yeah, he was smart.
but
He
did it right. Yeah,
he saw where that was
smart.
going, and
He saw where it was going,
Yeah.
and he played the part. He
Yeah.
played it right. He became
Yep.
that lovable.
and a lot of people don't know
respectable-
this. Him and Tupac had a major falling out
Yeah.
before Tupac was
I
shot.
heard about that. Yeah.
And
That
that's
was
the
a
key is
major.
learning how to reinvent yourself as you get older. A lot of
Exactly.
guys we loved from the early 90s could not do that. They had
Yeah.
one gear
Yeah.
Right.
and they
Nope.
they're making fucked up bad albums right
Yeah.
now and still trying to hold on to something. But Snoop
He's
has
definitely reinvented
has
himself.
had quite the arc, like you mentioned. And that's why he's doing fucking game shows and shit now. Like
Yeah,
And
his
Snoop is-
crossover into the mainstream has been
right. Yeah, the Uncle Snoop
That's
character is somebody that everybody like. Even when Snoop does shit like, didn't he curse out like Gayle King like a year or two ago
yeah.
over something?
Yes.
Mhm.
And it just fucking slipped right out of the cycle because that's how much Snoop is like revered and loved right now.
He had a Rastafari thing happen too, right? Where they got pissed off at him in Jamaica for coming down and he said he was going to be a Rasta, and then he got called out on it because he just went down there to make a song or an album.
Yeah.
And then that turned, but that blew right over. And then next thing you know, he's in a fucking Corona ad.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm like,
nuts.
God damn, man, this guy just he gets it. He gets it. But talk about, like I said, the story arc has been kind of crazy for him. Let's Neil, do you have somebody? I mean, is there have you been listening to hip hop and rap long enough to have an opinion?
If I was gonna say somebody, and I'll say that it's also the GOAT in my opinion, I'll say Jay-Z.
Okay. All right.
Oh,
but I do love me some.
We agree on the GOAT, by the way.
Zane just stared right through your eyes. I just want you to know that. Out of the limited knowledge I know about Biggie, I do fuck with his songs. Out of the few that I know. Jay-Z, actually, that's a perfect segue there, Neil, because Jay-Z is the rapper that grew on me. Yeah, I didn't like Jay-Z in the 90s. I didn't, and it took me a while. It was kind of like Seinfeld for me. I didn't watch it when it came out, but watching it afterwards is when I fell in love with it. Same thing with Jay-Z. It took me a long time to kind of get into Reasonable Doubt and some of his other like older stuff. And then Blueprint was just kind of, that was my awakening, I think. Where I was like, okay, this motherfucker is kind of talented. And I know he's kind of mainstream right now, so you guys probably have more.
That's really odd because I think his first album was his best album by a landslide.
Okay, well, let me pick up on that. It's like, no, I'm kidding. So Joe brought this up earlier. I think Jamal and me probably agree on this. The concept of something being the best, but not being your favorite has always been a concept I've been intrigued by. Like if you ask someone like, oh, name the top 5 greatest movies ever, right? They tend to name their favorites.
Right.
So it's hard for people to separate what they like and what they are willing to put on that list. I've always been the kind of person to try to segregate those things. You know what I mean? I might watch Citizen Kane and think, okay, this is one of the greatest movies ever, but I'm not going to say it's my favorite. I wouldn't watch it more than once or whatever, right? Yeah. So that's
in my defense. I just don't know enough to speak on the GOAT.
No, of course, yeah. I've always been intrigued by that conversation, so I guess I wanted to put that out there. Yep. As for Blueprint, so Blueprint, I think it's better than Reasonable Doubt, but that's not really the discussion. I was gonna say Jay-Z as my favorite rapper of all time. I think he's been the most consistent. We talk about Snoop reinventing himself, but Snoop has kind of reinvented himself in ways that he comes out with a hit song or he's a certain character. But I would say Jay-Z, from mid 90s, he pretty much ran rap for about 7-8 years straight, every summer. Yeah. And even the 444 album, which is a really solid album, to have released that album 20 years after his debut. I think that was a great, just the way he's been able to reinvent himself. To me, he's like the LeBron James of rap.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a really good
from
comparison.
A consistency standpoint.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much how I feel about that. I was gonna go super left field because Jamal went super fucking left field. I didn't want to go mainstream. So my favorite rap, I don't listen to rap music anymore. It's just, for me, I don't know why I can't really do it. So my favorite rapper is Loaded Lux. He's a battle rapper though.
Yeah.
His music I'm like so on, but his lyrical ability, battle rap's a little different. It's like you're battling someone, right? So you're able to go more in depth lyrically as opposed to only saying what goes with the beat and kind of riding a theme throughout a song. So that's my favorite rapper of all time. Lyrically, he's the one guy. When I was younger and I used to write rhymes, he's like the one guy. It's like how did he come up with that? I could never get in that mindset.
I'm actually surprised by you. We've never discussed our favorite rappers purely off of a lyrical standpoint.
Because it's a different thing. Like I've gotten so much into battle rap, I prefer it over rap music.
And that's what I've always preferred to speak about hip hop, is more so the actual raw lyricism rather than the entire embodiment of work, right? Because and that's why I call Jay-Z the GOAT, is because from that regard, yes, he does own that, right? The entire body of work, the albums, business,
body of work,
the endorsements, everything, right? Exactly, the body of work. But like for me, like comparing rappers, is like put a mic in each one of their hands, put them on a fucking stage, beat or no beat, who's ripping.
So
who?
That's been something I've been mulling. I looked at this list. I've been mulling over this for the last hour. Honestly, no lie, because I take this kind of like I don't want to think of something later I should have said. Right. So in my mind, I'm incorporating that, and it's tough. It's tough because when we get to the other discussions, I'm gonna negate some rappers because they might be able to kill it on the mic or that one verse or that one song. But at the end of the day, if you're talking about music itself, you have to have great albums, right? You have to be able
to look at this, right. But look at it from this perspective, right? When you hear a song and you know a rapper is going to be on there, right? And you're like, I can't wait to hear his verse.
Yeah.
And 9 times out of 10, you're not let down, right?
Of course.
Who are those type of rappers? Jadakiss.
Yeah, for me, Jadakiss. Fabulous. Rick Ross, even for me, for on our guest verse.
Sure. Yeah. Lil Wayne. 9 times out of 10, he's not letting you down, right? Joe Budden. I talk about Joe Budden all the time.
Understood.
His fucking verses are fire.
Of course.
Right? He spits. So that's what I like to look at when I'm comparing these rappers is basically, you know, the punchlines, the wordplay, the diction, the vocabulary, delivery, all that shit.
Yeah, I agree.
And these are the rappers that, aside from the entire body of work, the albums, Jadakiss has never been able to put out a good album. To me, a decent at best. Fabulous, I never liked his albums that much as I like his mixtapes. Because that mixtape Fabulous versus commercial Fabulous is 2 totally different rappers, right?
We can go into so many different directions.
Commercial Fab.
Why Jamal? Why not Joe?
I agree.
Why Jamal?
But at a certain point,
because Jamal just has this like deep, like thinking look on his face, and I want to know what's in that fucking head.
So let me.
Are you with me?
Let me say one thing about Jay-Z. I'm kind of with Joe in that I didn't embrace Jay-Z right away, but it's because of where I was with the type of hip hop I listened to when Jay was growing in the scene, right?
Right.
So I was a hardcore backpacker. I listened to like Lyricist Lounge shit and fucking A Butter and all that, like the motherfuckers you've never heard of before.
Yeah.
That really couldn't get off raucous labels, you know, off that label to save their life. Company Flow, like the LP before he became part of you know, what the fuck is the group name? Run the Jewels. He was part of Company Flow. Very like really like
Jay-Z is the antithesis of basically everything.
And that was when the Jiggy era was big, right?
Yeah.
So it was backpackers versus the Jiggy rappers, right? Anybody that seemed materialistic.
Yeah. But Reasonable Doubt came out in '96.
Yeah, but before that, right? He was.
So where, and that's where I started. I listened. My first Jay-Z song was "Dead Presidents," right? Like that was the music video on BET. I said VH1.
Yeah.
But on BET, that was the shit. That was Dead Presidents. That was Jay-Z. That was the
Dead Presidents, by the way, is a phenomenal movie. Phenomenal movie.
Yeah.
So that was Jay, continue. But like Joe, when I fucking grew up and loosened myself from being such a hardcore underground only, you know, hip hop listener, I really grew to embrace, you know, his style, like his writing, like all that shit. So that was Jay for me. So he wasn't a rapper I didn't put him on my list as a rapper to grow me, but that's a very good point because I had to kind of coming of age and kind of move into his music in that space. My rapper that grew me was Currency. I thought Currency, I tagged up with him because I listened to, you know, I was kind of listening to Wiz a little bit back then, and Wiz and Currency did mixtapes together, How Fly and shit like that. But when I really got into listening to Currency, dude, he's a must listen to me because Currency writes and his how can I describe it? His verses are like a bunch of different vignettes. But he writes and
he's in a different pocket like every
every he slides around the beat and he writes basically a bunch of different scenarios. You know, I was a girl, I fucked her, and then you know my roommate was in the kitchen the next morning and she was embarrassed to show her face, so she kind of ducked out, like a lot of that type of shit. So it's a bunch of different episodes
random
to his
shit,
music, and nobody else writes like that to me. So when Currency puts out a lot of material, like a lot of material. So you got to kind of filter through it, but he's got a very interesting style that I've always kind of been drawn to. So
I have to plug because it's relevant. He has a great verse on the Dead Presidents instrumental. So if you like an instrumental and you want to listen to Currency.
Segue.
Yeah.
One rapper that grew on me was Beanie
He
C.
grew on you? What the hell is going on?
Grew on me. Yeah. I don't like Beans a lot when I first heard him. It was kind of a bias too, The whole Nas shit, Nas Rockefeller shit.
Which, by the way, he has. I was
but-
thinking about the other day. He has the best Hot 97 diss freestyle ever.
On who?
On Jadakiss,
I know-
Nas, on the special
yeah.
delivery beat. Oh my god.
So
Go
the
ahead.
Jadakiss beef is where
You grew to appreciate
I really
him.
heard Beans like really spit. Like,
Mhm.
I was like, fuck. It was one of those diss songs where you just like, oh shit, you're
Yeah.
talking about me.
Yeah.
Or like somebody close to me, like
Yeah.
shit.
You're
you
rooting
take it
for him,
personal.
and you end up like, ah, shit.
He said, man, I'm taking my time. I'm taking his watch. I'm thinking about and his mom and making him watch. I'm
Yeah.
like, oh
She's
shit.
saying
Like,
wild
oh,
shit.
stop. No, not his mom. So I was like, oh my God. And that's when I started listening to Beans. Like, this motherfucker's hard as
He
shit.
went
like,
super
like,
hard. Jadakiss said
like,
the
when I'm
same
mad at
thing, by the
somebody, I
way.
started listening-
Jadakiss said
Huh?
the same thing. He was like, I didn't know he could fucking rap like that. He was like,
Yeah.
we were listening to that shit.
It was
like
probably
crazy.
that night too. That night when he went acapella, because Jadakiss was in Philly
Yep.
talking all this shit about Beans in front of a Philly crowd, and then
Mhm.
Beans shows up out of nowhere. Jadakiss goes on the stage and he just goes acapella and just destroys him. But Beans definitely grew on me after that. After that little back and forth, started listening to his albums. Just hard, man.
I
Like
agree.
that
The
hard
Truth
shit.
is a
Like that
great
Styles P, Hell Rel,
Yeah, man.
Beans. Like
We know. So kind of going through the rest of this list here. We know who Zayn hates. Eminem is
you want me to just get into it now?
spoken of. Is that kind of, is there? We'll let Zayn go off for the second episode. In our 16.
I'll be quick.
History. Go for it.
Yeah, I just don't like. I was gonna put Eminem on the most overrated rapper, but I decided to plug someone else in. So I'm just gonna go with the rapper I dislike is Eminem. I'm gonna keep it at that. I think his fan base makes me dislike him more than him himself. He came out the new album and I thought it's horrible. Like he just doesn't make good.
me and Neil feel attacked.
He doesn't
right
make good music anymore. Like I just
He
don't.
really doesn't. And
He doesn't,
It's
and,
okay
like,
for people to admit that.
He's got this whole like this crazy fast rap. I don't hear or understand anything he's saying, and that's just how I feel about it. And at a time he was
Okay.
great, but not anymore.
I'm gonna plug Dalia right here.
Of course, I'm more torn.
Yeah,
That joint's
of course.
hilarious.
Smorgasbord.
I'm in the floorboard with the Porsche Dominican and Harrison Ford. And
The
the joint's
It's always
hilarious.
funny, dude. Always fucking funny.
It's the funniest shit ever.
did you watch 8 Mile or no?
I did. I loved 8 Mile.
That was peak M though.
Yeah, that was
So-
peak Eminem. Look,
Before he got
Eminem is
ultra
talking about
funny,
this shit
man.
that he's
Plus, it
actually.
incorporated some battle rap in there, and we know that now that you love battle rap. So that must
Yeah,
have
with
been-
battle rap, it's nothing like that. But yes,
Right. Yes. Yeah,
It's funny though.
Papa Doc is not coming through that.
Yeah,
door.
exactly. And there's no instrumental.
No.
But yeah, let's get into the what? Anybody else have anybody they dislike?
Yeah, I was gonna say, is there a universal like, man? No, man. Well, I don't know.
This
why
might be a
guy
little
gets it.
unpopular. And I don't really dislike the dude. I never got the
It's
fucking
either,
hype.
it's either Kanye or Drake. No, you love their music. so
I
it's
love Drake.
Yeah.
Kanye can go to hell though.
Yeah.
J. Cole, man. Just I
Oh,
don't get it.
What?
yes. I
Yo,
don't understand
Jamal,
the
what?
fascination.
Don't get it. And remember y'all was shitting on like Bronze, talking about I hate Bronze fans. I hate J. Cole fans.
Yeah, he's.
They
super
swear this
overrated.
motherfucker's the
Wow.
Messiah,
So,
and I just
so
I don't
is it
get it.
is it wrong for me to feel the same way about
Don't say Kendrick.
Kendrick
Don't
Lamar?
say Kendrick, man.
Look, that's your opinion. This is art,
Wow.
bro. So you're
Yeah.
free to feel anyway. It's all subjective. I know
as
people
a
that
rap fan growing up, you know how much geography mattered to like where to the rappers' lyrics.
yeah.
I don't feel Compton when I hear Kendrick, and it bothers me.
Really?
Just like I don't feel Harlem when I listen to ASAP Rocky. I don't.
I've never heard that stance on either. But
Yeah.
I
So let me
I don't
ask you
have an issue
this.
with that.
I
That's just me.
think lyrically
I hear
he's very lyrical.
I hear Harlem when I listen to Papoose.
Yeah, but he's from
Yeah,
Brooklyn.
Go ahead.
So are you talking about the lyrics or the beats? I feel like his first album, the beats were all
For who?
I
California.
think I think it's not even just the lyrics; it's the delivery. Like there's a very universal way of delivering your lyrics.
The delivery
with rappers
is
from
very, but that's
anywhere.
why I like him
It's
because he
kinda-
raps like a New York rapper for me.
You talking about Kendrick?
Kendrick. Kendrick's different. Kendrick
Who
has
are
his
you talking
own
about, Zane?
way of rapping.
Kendrick.
You were talking about Kendrick. Okay.
Yeah.
Kendrick has like 30 different flows.
Yes.
And
He does. Yes. And-
his delivery sometimes people that I really respect the music opinions of don't fuck with Kendrick that heavy, and I'm okay with that. I do personally. I think To Pimp a Butterfly was a fucking masterpiece. I think everything but I've seen him grow as an artist too, because his early stuff sounds, a little rough around the edges, but you could always tell like that dude was on a different level as far as writing. My thing with J. Cole is people hail him.
What is the fascination? I don't understand.
I don't get it either. And they think him not doing features is some magnificent feat. Like, who gives
It's
a
like
fuck,
this constant
man?
thing. Do you win platinum? Who gives I don't care.
But it's
like,
a generational thing too, because my niece and nephew, they are like.
How do you feel about him as a rapper? As a rapper,
I don't think he's good. I don't think
he's basic.
You don't think he's
people
good?
hail him as
basic.
like this generation's Nas. I'm like, I don't see it. I don't.
Oh hell no.
I don't.
Fine, I probably view him more as
again. You guys are saying stuff about J. Cole that I personally haven't heard because I don't really seek
I've heard the same things. I've heard the same things.
Like J. Cole, and that's fine that you've heard it, but it doesn't alter my opinion of J. Cole because when I listen to J. Cole, I it's without all the it's like what I listen to, what I hear.
Yeah.
I think a recurring theme is our feelings sometimes might be a reflection of how people prop people up to a certain level, and then you might be like,
and I get that, if you allow it to.
All right, let me.
I've listened to it.
I feel like we could do a whole show on this. I know we're running long. Let me get in my most underrated and then my GOAT. So underrated, I had like five people because that shit was tough, man. Because there's so many guys I think need more shine just because of their ability. So I got Freddie Gibbs, Denzel Curry, Danny Brown, and last but not least, Black Thought.
Oh, Black, yeah.
Let's go.
Black Thought's super underrated.
Yeah. Man, for a second there, it just sounded like you were rattling off like the Indiana Pacers roster or something.
Yeah.
Like, I was,
and I agree about.
Freddie Gibbs is actually from Gary, Indiana. Fittingly.
If you actually want to, get a quick Black Thought, his Funk Flex freestyle is insane.
Yeah, that's
Him and Low Deluxe had the top two Funk Flex freestyles.
Yeah. And I'm gonna go ahead and throw my GOAT out there for consumption. Is Andre, man. Andre 3000.
Wow.
Sure.
That's my GOAT.
So Jamal, I'll have you know that poll that was running online, he was a dominant answer.
Oh, word.
Dominant answer.
So here's my thing about Dre. Southern hip hop was not really a thing before Outkast came along, right? They put the South on the map. I was talking about the Source Awards earlier. You talk about somebody that can just write his fucking ass off, and whenever he gets on the mic in a verse, I sit up straight, I block everything out, and I'm prepared to go back through the verse probably about 4 or 5 times. I know all my favorite Dre verses. I don't think he's put up a weak appearance. Now people knock Dre a little bit because he really is a little isolated from, a lot of the hip hop world in general. I mean, a man is walking around playing a flute now, right? But Dre also doesn't freestyle. He said that's not his thing. Now, some people say you're not a real MC. You can't be the GOAT unless you freestyle. I disagree with that. I heavily disagree with that.
If you're great at writing, you're great at writing.
Right. Dre doesn't put up bad performances. You listen to his verse on Royal Flush or Gangsta Shit or Hollywood Divorce. I mean, the motherfucker brings it all the time, And I think he's a brilliant mind. And I think, to Joe's point, I think the poll results speak for themselves. People respect Dre because I don't know, he's just that damn good. So that's my GOAT.
My GOAT is my favorite rapper. I think it's Biggie. I just, again, I'm partial. It's what I love in my head. Underrated. I don't know if it's as much underrated as much as it's forgotten just because of the era that he was from, but Warren G, that was my shit, like back in the 90s, man. It was so funny because I'm telling you like how much I love Biggie, but at the same time, like that Regulate album, like
that album was dope.
That was
good.
I could probably bump that for like 2 summers, which for me was like an eternity back in those high school years of mine. So,
and I could tell that's the era of West Coast hip hop that you really fucking hold dear. Yeah,
it was kind of that whole group too, right? Because he ran with Snoop, and that was around the time of Doggy Style, and all of that stuff was like popping. So I just
killed that era.
Right. And I just think over the years he's just kind of people have forgotten about, and just the other day, because Snoop was wearing that jacket, he was wearing his Doggy Style jacket, so I kind of ran through some of those albums
that album
as I was
is
working.
insane.
Yes, that's one of those albums where like any track that comes on,
Oh
the
yeah,
lyric,
and like
the lyrics,
sonically, like the
right
way
there.
I don't know if you guys feel that, like the way it plays in the
Sonically.
speakers.
Doggy
I don't
style?
know, like it's
Yeah.
it's different. It's
Yeah.
just different.
Same with the Chronic
Breaks
for
the
me. I
sound
think the
barrier.
Chronic
Yeah,
still
I mean it's a
sounds-
Dre thing, right?
Yeah, yeah.
I'm not a huge
just
I'm not a huge stan or fan of Dre, but sonically, like the
Yeah.
shit he creates,
Ahead of
just
his
the way
time,
it comes out the
absolutely.
speakers.
Prayers up to Dre too. By the way, he just
Oh, yeah,
it
definitely,
was
man.
reported that he
Yeah,
had a brain
crazy.
aneurysm. But
That's like
Ice Cube,
divorce duty.
Ice T, I'm sorry, not Ice Cube. Ice T came out and said that he's doing well, or maybe it was Ice Cube. It was Ice T or Ice Cube. It's
It's
one
probably Ice Cube.
one of the
He's probably
drinks.
closer to the situation.
one of the beverages said that he's doing better now. So prayers
Yeah,
up
but-
to Dre.
For sure. Real quick,
Abdullah, you got a overrated and a goat?
overrated.
I think I don't know if I did my overrated. I don't really know about an overrated. I said Kendrick Lamar.
Okay.
If I had to pick
Oh
one.
no, I'm sorry.
Underrated.
Underrated. is what-
Underrated.
Underrated.
Underrated. I got two. One is a personal favorite rapper of mine, Cormega.
Okay.
And the other is Redman. I know Redman's peers hold him at a very high pedestal. But I don't think fans do as much. We just don't talk about him as much.
Yeah.
So
Redman's style is
Muddy Waters, his features.
Muddy-
He's funny
yes.
as fuck.
yeah, I'm gonna say his ability to again. I don't know, man. Somebody, if you don't take yourself too seriously, if you know how to fucking clown
Yeah,
yourself on the mic
Exactly, man.
and be wild,
You seen his MTV Cribs?
Yeah.
classic TV, bro. Classic TV.
Yeah. Yeah.
Neil, that's homework for you. Watch Redman's MTV
I am
Cribs.
also upset a bit or disappointed that he didn't get any more movie roles after How High. I thought he was great in How High.
Yeah.
For that goofy, funny shit.
Fun
I thought he
fact:
played a really good role.
I met Redman in Circuit City. Remember that place? Across the street
Yeah.
from
Circuit City.
where FedEx Field is now. Before
Wow.
Circuit City went out of business. So
Good lord.
yeah, I'm old as fuck.
Random
Bro.
as fuck. Did you talk to him?
Yeah, I got his autograph. Me and my sister.
Nice.
Yeah.
Real quick,
Jamal
my
Yeah.
Jamal
My
about to drop
underrated.
an Ames reference now. Like
Then I slid over to People's Drugstore and
the dart drug and shit.
Jamal really killed me with his overrated being J. Cole, because I was thinking about making him my underrated, but
Oh man.
instead I'll go Mac Miller.
Let's go on.
Mac.
Underrated?
For me, yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
Mac's a beast, man. R.I.P. Mac. My
Yeah.
kids got me really heavy into Mac.
Right. See, and that's my generation.
Yep.
I feel you, man.
That's who's your goat, Neil?
I said Jay-Z, just same as favorite, same as you.
All right. Abdullah, did you give your goat?
I'm going with Jay, man. Body work.
Wow.
The resume.
I told you. I told you he was gonna catch you by surprise. No, I've never. Yeah. But like I said, we've always kind of not really been on the same wavelength when we've talked about these rappers, lyrically versus body of work, career, albums. It's two different things, man.
No, I agree, and that's where my
Right?
point's gonna go.
The locks had their chance, right? When they went mainstream with the puffy jackets and the shiny shit, the shiny suits and shit, and they went back to D Block and making mixtapes. It's two different realms, man. So
I have
you
a
can't.
counterpoint. Go ahead.
It's huh?
Go ahead.
No, I think it's very hard to be raw and gutter the way the Locks chose to be and be mainstream. That's why Nas was never able to really get as commercial as he could have been. It's just he didn't make that kind of music, right? Fabulous was able to, because Fabulous was able to make hits for the ladies.
He wants
make hits for video
he
games.
wants you to say
and
right,
do
Zane.
street shit,
Zane, he wants you to agree with him.
right?
No.
Right?
Nobody's right or wrong. So let me go into my thing, man. So let me just run through my things. I know we're trying to wrap it up and shit.
That's all right. That's all right. You're gonna take us home here, Zane.
So conceptually, this is what I struggle with, right? Like degrading a rapper's value based on the actual music, as opposed to lyrics, etc., and how to kind of have a happy medium. So when you go most underrated, it's really hard for me. Either they're getting the credit or they're not, right? So with underrated, I'm thinking just minor things. I'm thinking Big Pun. I think his lyrics alone make up for the lack of consistency and obviously short lifespan. His lyrical ability, I feel like overshadows a lot of that for me. I think G-Dep is super underrated. I think Child of the Ghetto is a very good album. I think lyrically is underrated. But outside of that, I can't really think of anybody else that's underrated. Most overrated, I thought about this a long time, and overrated for me, the word itself it has to do with how people are rating someone, and you might still value that person, but you don't value them as high as the public does, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And Jamal, I grew up on Lil Wayne mixtape era.
Mm-hmm.
I thought he was the best rapper alive for years, but
Yeah.
I think in the grand scheme of things, this is where I got to go albums. If people of the new generation put him in their top whatever, right? Or he's the go. What people do that. He hasn't had a great album to me. A lot of his albums his music has been also really bad to me lately. And I
Very
think he's
good
been mailing in for a
representation
while.
of just he oversaturated himself and
He oversaturated himself. But even
quality
Carter
did both.
3, I was thinking, okay, and it just wasn't none of his albums. And it's just important to me.
Yeah.
Like the body of work from a musical standpoint is just extremely important to me, right?
Yep.
There's a certain feeling, like Abdullah knows, when you hear a sick Jadakiss verse where it's like, oh damn, like shit, that's fucking hard, right? But like when we're getting to the GOAT conversation, and Biggie's amazing too, my GOAT is Tupac, but it's like it's a different feeling when somebody's telling a story, right? It's a different feeling when a rapper's able to be vulnerable and paint a picture, and that's coming from experience, and it's not just street shit. Same thing with Jay-Z. Like, obviously, I still think Nas he still has a masterpiece album. He has a great album, right? I don't think the Lox, I agree, were never capable based on their style. You know what I mean?
Right.
But they're also a group, right? So it's a little different, but Tupac's body of work.
There's an element. There's an art of storytelling.
There's an emotional element.
Versus yeah, exactly.
There's an emotional
punchlines. Yeah, versus just punchlines. And
I think Biggie,
it,
like if you look at the track listing for Life After Death, it's insane. Like it's so good, and he's probably the best storyteller. But Tupac has that he has that voice. He just owns whatever he's on. Just from his vocal projection,
rapping from a stomach type.
Yeah, it's like a vocal projection. It's like you really feel that shit, right? And it's the same feeling for me if a singer writes their own lyrics, right? I don't want to hear you singing about some shit that you don't relate to, right? So for me, like Tupac is my GOAT, but some days it's Biggie, but for the most part it's Tupac. I mean, he has a freaking certified diamond double disc album. He has a huge body of work. Not all of it's great, but he has a couple great albums. And he's kind of withstood the test of time, and his character, his persona is larger than life. He's probably, for me, one of the largest personalities of this century, I think. Like, he has an aura, you know what I mean? Like a mystique. So
yeah.
I love that freestyle that him and Biggie are on. I think was it Funkmaster Flex that merged that together.
I got 7 Mac 11s, about 8 38s, 99s, 10 Mac 10s. The shit's never end. You can't touch my riches, even if you had MC Hammer and them 377 bitches. Biggie Smalls, the millionaire, the mansion, the yacht, the 2 weak spots, the 2 hot Glocks.
Motherfucker, gonna wake the baby, wake the baby back up.
That's all we had to. That's all.
Baby gone, man. Baby on the 3rd floor.
Who knew? That's all I had to do to get him riled up today.
Right.
That was fantastic. Well done. We might have our outro song now too. It's fantastic. All right. Well, that was a good song. I knew that music was going to be a good segment. I know you guys are all into hip hop and rap, so I'm glad that worked out. Let's stick on the topic of GOATs. And switch gears to sports. Let's get into Open Gym. So let's just go ahead and cover what we're gonna do here in Open Gym. There's a couple points. The GOAT is coming to DC on Saturday to play the Washington football team, who won a game to win the NFC East title because a team decided to sit their quarterback in the 4th quarter and lay over, so that so that they could get a better draft position. It was not a guarantee Jalen Hurts would have beat them because he had 72 passing yards, but there was a lot of scuttlebutt around the NFL.
Which I don't understand. I don't get it.
The Philadelphia Eagles gave the game away. So we can have that discussion. We'll quickly talk about the wild card. And if we have a chance, we can talk about the team that's undefeated in 2021 in the NBA, which is the Washington Gizzards. Let's start off with Tom Brady coming to town and the Washington football team win over the Eagles. We can also talk Giants. We can talk Dolphins being eliminated, whatever you guys want to get into. NFL time.
All about that Chase Young jersey. It's appreciating with time.
That dude's a
I think I get why people are confused by why there was any outrage against what happened on Sunday night. It's one thing when you sit players to
They
your
sat
rest
everybody. They had like 12 starters resting.
But it's another thing when you can visually see it on the field that they're throwing plays, that they're not trying. Like, you can put a fourth string running back in the game.
You're telling me they weren't trying?
I don't think they were trying at all.
When Sudfeld came in, they weren't trying. When
I don't think they were trying at all, and I think that's what a lot of people saw. I don't think it was the fact. Yes, benching Jalen Hurts.
So Jalen Hurts stays in that game, they win that game. That's what you're telling me.
No.
I think Jalen Hurts would have been playing. Yeah, like he would have been fucking playing his ass
off.
But
would they have won? No,
I don't know if they would have.
Yeah,
won.
I mean, that's a counterfactual.
Yeah.
When they went for it on 4th and goal,
yeah,
that was like that was a head scratcher for me.
Fuck.
And let me just go ahead and get the Giants thing out the way. I'm a Giants fan, but I have no problem saying, I don't give a fuck if I get hate for this. I don't have a problem saying that I think Washington being in the playoffs is a better thing for the league overall. It's a better story. They have better players. They did better over the course of the season. Even with the losing record, the Giants look like shit for very large chunks of the season. They had a little bit of momentum when they beat Seattle and that whole, that kind of quick run they had in the middle of the season. But let's not forget the team barely can move the ball, most of the season, at the bottom of the league as far as points scored. I would much rather see a more seasoned coach, a more stable quarterback, more exciting young players, all that shit against Tampa than, what was certain to be a really shitty kind of cobbled together team in New York.
Do you want Joe Judge going already?
I have no problem with Joe Judge at all. No problem with Joe Judge.
Okay, you said you wanted a better coach. I thought that's what you said.
No, yeah, I mean it's more seasoned coach. Ron is going. Okay. I mean he's been there. He's got much more experience. New York has just a long way to go. I'm under no illusions about how, again, they were on their last legs as far as skill players this season. And I know there's so much more they got to build. So.
I don't even know who's on the team for a lot of skill.
I mean, we were rolling with Alfred Morris for a while, man, and
hey.
The guy who's supposed to be our number one receiver just kind of went off a cliff after a point, and they're not ready. They're not ready. And
the ex-Redskins trio of Colt McCoy, Alfred Morris, and Graham Gano.
I don't think Washington's ready per se either. I think their defense is playoff ready. They don't have an offense to go. They don't have an offense to match it. They got a quarterback with a rotting leg. To me, it's kind of bittersweet. Like, I get it. And I get the storyline too, because you've got coach beats cancer, quarterback beats virus amputation eating his leg. Yeah. I mean, like, survival. Chase Young is clear out the defensive player rookie of the year. Like, I get all the storylines. But I feel for anybody who's upset about it. Like, I get it. Nobody wants to see a losing team get into the playoffs, but I mean,
somebody has to go from the division. Right. Somebody has to go.
The NFC East has done this kind of shit before, or even if they haven't, like, I don't mean necessarily record-wise, but there's been divisions where teams have sucked and good teams miss the playoffs in another conference. And if you want to have that conversation about, like, opening up the playoffs to a conference format instead of the divisions, I mean, I guess I'm down for it. I just don't, all the bitching after the game is just kind of like, I don't know, if you're a Giants fan, you're pissed off about it, win 7 games. And you swept the Redskins or the Washington football team, you would have been in.
That's what
but you lost at the wrong time,
Yeah.
I think the season ended in very NFC East fashion. Yep. You had 2 6-team wins battling for the fucking division title, only to have the team that got eliminated throw the fucking game, right? And so one team gets pissed, one team gets in. There's nothing you can really change about how things transpired at the end of the season. The NFC East is a trash division, right? Dak got hurt. The Eagles quarterback ended up being fucking hurt. Matt Flynn, disguised as Ed Sheeran, but goes by the name of Carson Wentz, right? The Giants have nothing, as Jamal said, and Washington played as bad as any of them during
They had
the
4
season, and was
quarterbacks.
the one that pulled away. So now you've got a 7-win team hosting a playoff game and a 10-win team in the other conference staying at home.
Yeah, I mean, I had a lot of thoughts on this. Just like
Poor
Joe said, if
you.
you're the Giants, you got to win another game, right? And basically, my feeling is a lot of this was already. I had read about all this stuff before the game that Jalen Hurts was going to play a majority of the game, and if they felt like the game was at a certain spot, whether it was out of reach or they were down, they were up, they were going to go to Nate Sudfeld because they're evaluating the quarterback position. Obviously, they probably aren't evaluating Nate Sudfeld. But they were already in a place where they were missing a lot of their players, and it's really a coach's decision at that point. I'm not saying somebody would have torn their ACL. I thought, and to echo on your point, I do think if Jalen Hurts played, I think the Eagles would have won. That's my opinion. I think Alex Smith played really well for a couple drives, and he looked really good. But for the rest, my theory is anytime a team is constantly going 3 and out or not scoring 4, 5, 6 possessions, and another team isn't, but they're moving the ball better, eventually they're going to score. Right? I feel like eventually the Eagles are going to score, and it would have really came down to being a close game at that point. What else was I going to say? I don't think Washington is ready yet. I don't even think, in all honesty, their defense is ready yet. A lot of people are saying, I've been reading on forums like, oh, like remember when Denver beat Tom Brady and but they had Von Miller and DeMarcus Ware, and they had 2 lockdown corners, and they had Danny Trevathan, and they had freaking everybody, Terrence Knighton. But I think Rivera proved his point. I mean, you see how excited the players are. Hopefully you can parlay this into other players wanting to come here and play for this team. Because the team has a lot of holes.
Yeah.
I don't think they stand a chance against Tampa unless everything goes wrong for Tampa. I don't see it happening. Like Jamal said, they can't score and they can't move the ball. If a team scores more than 20 points, you're in a really bad position if you're the Washington football team. And that's just how it's played out.
Well, I know.
Speak on it, Joe.
Yes.
You have thoughts?
No, I do. They're gonna. I think they're gonna get blown out on Saturday, and I'm okay with it. And,
I agree.
And I'm literally okay with it. Yeah. Like I think this team for the first time in 5 years understands what winning football in December looks like, and they haven't had that in quite a minute. And I think that the learning lesson for the rest of the guys and the free agents, like Zane said, and your potential free agent quarterback who's going to be out there, the quarterback that you want to trade for, because the quarterback who's going to start next year is not on the roster right now, at least in my opinion. He's just not. I mean, I personally believe Alex Smith will retire after he wins Comeback Player of the Year, which I don't know who else would win it this year, but I just think Dan Snyder could go to him and be like, "Yo, man, I mean, it's $10 million dead cap,
front office position."
Right. It's a $10 million dead cap. Yeah. If you retire, I'll give you 20 million and fucking, I'll buy your mansion and you'll have a front office job for, 6-7 years if you want it, whatever you might do. And I think that, then they go after somebody else. I don't think Ron Rivera is going to kind of roll the dice on a rookie quarterback to come in here. I think he wants a veteran. I don't know where that means that they end up going, but
So how do you feel about this whole dual QB thing potentially? He's in a tough spot. Ron Rivera is in a very tough spot. I think he knows that the highs of Taylor Heineke could help him win the game, but the lows could put him in a bad spot. And if you play Taylor Heineke and you lose, people are going to say, well, if you played Alex Smith, he's shown an ability to quote unquote win. But his heart is probably with playing Alex and possibly just losing with Alex because he deserves it, or maybe the team is rallying around him. I mean, for me, it's a tough decision.
I think, look, I personally think that the decision to interchange them or swap them, I think it was a lot closer to being a real thing on Sunday than most people would give credit for. Before the game, it was the most active I've ever seen their quarterbacks throwing before a game. Yeah. Like Alex was throwing to Taylor throwing to Montez. Montez isn't going to play at all. Let's just kind of get that, unless people like just die on the field. That guy's not going to get in the game. But Taylor and Alex were throwing active, and Taylor had his helmet on the entire fucking game. Like I almost feel like he was walking past Rivera a couple times to be like, "Hey, yo, coach, I'm here. Yeah. I'm here just in case. I'm here."
If Alex didn't move the ball like that before halftime, I think he might have came in after halftime.
Correct. I agree with that. And I look interchangeable. I like what Chris Cooley said on the Sheehan show earlier this week. He called he called Alex Smith like a playoff pitcher that's on his 4th day, so he can't pitch a full game, but he comes in and throws 2 innings to get you started or to finish the game. But the other guy is going to come in and kind of get you through, like, just keep it close enough that we can get to this guy. For Alex, I think that he would probably be on the start side of things, because I think as it's cold weather, I just can't imagine that his leg gets any better.
Yeah, he
with,
can't move.
That robo leg.
Right. So it was kind of misty and rainy and just muggy, but it wasn't really that bad or that cold. But you could just tell as the game progressed that the guy's got one.
I hate to get technical, but I noticed this every third down when it was more than 6-7 yards, they just blitzed him because they knew he was a sitting target. He could not move. He could not step up in the pocket. They would crowd the middle. There was just nothing he could do. And that's the only thing that worries me, is that that's going to be a strategy that's going to be used. You can't use that against Taylor Heineke because he can move around. He's young and he has legs right now. So Abdullah, Neil, I know you guys have a lot of thoughts on this. I know you were.
Is Gibson playing?
Yeah, he played last week.
Yeah.
Hopefully that's
they were listed as not participants.
Probably just
he did that last week too. Rivera gave him some rest in the middle of the week because he's still probably nursing his turf toe to a degree. But I think that's
never running back by committee. So.
Yeah, I think health is the only thing Washington has. They got to hope Alex Smith is a little bit more healthy. They got to hope Terry McLaurin's a little bit more healthy. You got to hope Gibson's a bit more healthy.
So Zayn, as a guy who's so oriented to look at the entire landscape of things, the future outlook of the team, right? Talking a lot about the playoff game this weekend, and as Joe confirmed earlier, the Washington football team doesn't have the quarterback of the future on the roster right now, right? I don't know if you agree with that or not, but in any regard, what do you see as the Washington approach going into the offseason and kind of identifying their gaps on both sides of the ball, quarterback, the secondary.
Is
great.
There's a lot of holes.
Not really, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they could seem great because of their elite front line and some of their linebackers. But
I understand
outside of this game, like, what's in it for Washington to kind of solidify their future?
So just like we said earlier, and Joe's kind of harped on this in the past, it's like the winning mentality, and sometimes it doesn't work, but at the end of the day, if you're a coach like Ron Rivera, that's what you're going to go with, right? The hope is, and I think Ron Rivera is going to be not opportunistic, but he's going to take it as it comes. So from the quarterback position, they know probably a couple guys that they like who are on the trade block. They might explore those trades to see what's possible. Couple names I'm thinking of are Matt Stafford and Sam Darnold. Those two guys I like based on the landscape of things.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah, Stafford is a good kind of 2-year fix, maybe.
Of course, but so my next point is you also have to see how the draft shakes out, right? You're going to be in the 18 to 20 range. Probably 18 is the pick, right? 19, so if there's a quarterback you like there, it probably won't be there because you have a lot of quarterbacks stepping up in the draft in terms of the guys people really like are actually going to go higher up now because Justin Fields is elevated stock. If he beats Alabama somehow,
unless they fall in love with like a Mac Jones or a Kyle Trask, right? One of these kind of second tier, but
if they do the first round. Like those guys, they also still understand that a guy like Trask and Mac Jones are going to be developmental, right? And they're still going to want to have somebody to lead the way. And it probably won't be Alex Smith if they can get him off the books. It might be somebody like Matt Stafford who could play for a couple of years and you stash away Trask or Mac Jones on the bench because Zach Wilson, Trey Lance, Justin Fields, they're not going to be available at that.
And I'm looking at the draft order right now and kind of looking at what teams may be seeking a quarterback before Washington gets their pick. We know the Jets and Jacksonville are obviously going to be, but then you got teams like they're kind of on the fence. San Francisco, they're not totally sold on Garoppolo. Are they going to surprise anybody? New England, Cam Newton's not going to be anymore. Are they going to go with somebody? Right? That's pretty much those two teams outside of the top two teams that we know are going to.
Where is San Francisco?
So what's that?
Where's San Francisco?
San Francisco's at 12.
Exactly. So here,
Could Trey
so
Lance
you're
make
talking
it
about
to
like-
them?
even
think so.
Carolina, like these are teams that aren't like hard.
So
set.
the
but
mock
here's
I
the
saw-
dilemma, right? And Joe, I know you have a. Let me just say this real quick. The dilemma is if you're picking 18th, right?
Yeah.
The teams ahead of you have lost for specific reasons. Now, some of them have their quarterbacks have gotten hurt, so they might
Right.
still be bringing those guys in. But the teams that are behind you
Yeah.
are also
Right.
playoff teams, right? And for one reason or another, unless you're thinking the Rams, who might not be in love with Jared Goff, or another team, their quarterback's not going to be there next year, you would assume the playoff teams are pretty set at quarterback to an extent, that they're not going to use a pick on a top flight quarterback unless they're really thinking ahead. That's my philosophy.
Yeah, but what's that got to do with Washington?
So you're saying
What
that
that
they're
has to
gonna
do with
wait.
Washington
spot.
is that they would know at that point, hey, we like this guy,
Yeah.
but he might be available in 14, 15 picks from
Right.
now, and we can
But
trade
yeah,
down.
but see, but that's what I'm saying. Even though the teams that I mentioned, San Francisco, New England, even Carolina, like I don't know for sure if they're going to go with the quarterback. What I do know is that they're not hard set on who they have,
Yes.
and especially for San Francisco, teams like that where there's been, dialogue coming from the team saying basically they're not happy with their quarterback or they're not,
And they're
hard,
not.
like
They're probably
Garoppolo,
not.
for example. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So so my point is from a draft perspective, what's even going to be viably available for Washington?
I don't see them
18th
going
pick. I don't know if
quarterback.
there's a
I see
lot.
them trading down,
I don't think
or
so
I
either.
see them picking up a receiver or a cornerback. Those are the two positions I see. I think a middle linebacker is a more glaring need. I think that's a huge need, but I don't see them using their first round pick on a linebacker as opposed to waiting until the second, third, fourth round to get a linebacker, to get a quarterback, a developmental quarterback, and hopefully pick up one of these guys at free agency to tutor that guy.
If they get another wide receiver in the draft, they need to get some sort of veteran slot receiver to kind of
They need another receiver.
ride that ship.
I don't care who you have at quarterback.
But
this is not
somebody,
cutting it.
even somebody who knows, the game playbooks, routes.
And for me, this is a huge
Like
Scott
33-year-old slot receiver.
Scott Turner's coming into a second year, and I'm going to finish up my thought. But Scott Turner's coming into a second year. His offense hasn't been successful. Okay.
Yeah.
He doesn't have any weapons. His tight end has made some great plays, but he's a quarterback converted to a tight end. Their other receivers are iffy, right? Some guys, they don't show up at all. Some guys, they play pretty well, and they probably love Terry McLaurin. They probably love Antonio Gibson. And the ideal thing for me in their minds would be give Scott Turner another weapon. That weapon's going to help Terry McLaurin, and that weapon's going to help Antonio Gibson possibly come out of the backfield and actually catch
The good news for them is that they've got a lot of cap money, and even Alex is not worth 20 this year. Yeah, like I said, he's 10 million in dead cap space if he doesn't retire. If he does retire, then that's
what's the cap number for the?
I'm pretty sure. Alexa Neal, tell me if I'm wrong here, but doesn't the cap carry over if you don't use it in the NFL?
I don't know.
Pretty sure that I read.
I ain't the NFL Alexa.
Carry over.
Stump the Schwab over here.
So I'm pretty sure that I read that the number carries over, even if it does. So if it does carry over, I think they were in like the 20s, maybe low 30s this year. They didn't spend. They have a lot of cap space.
Yeah.
And so if that carries over, even if the cap number drops, which it's supposed to, there's still got a lot of money to throw around. And the wide receiver pool, last I checked, was actually pretty decent. You go after like a guy like Allen Robinson and try to get him for a little bit less than maybe what you threw at
my boy was trying to sell the Stafford and bringing Marvin Jones kind of package deal thing.
Marvin Jones has never kind of done it for me.
Don't do that to Allen Robinson, man.
Why?
This motherfucker's been playing with Blake Bortles and Mitch Trubisky and Chase Daniels his whole career. That's been the whole thing about.
Could you imagine put him
on a fucking team that can?
I know you don't want to imagine this because you're not a Washington fan, but can you imagine you get an offseason of Matt Stafford and Allen Robinson added onto your offensive roster? That's
considering they get a guy like Matt Stafford, sure.
Yeah.
I get that. Yeah.
I don't think Ron Rivera is going to go into next season with what. Look, man, they're on a limited timeline with the defense. You're not going to be able to pay John Allen, Daron Payne, Montez Sweat, and Chase Young.
Exactly. That's what happened to
3 years from now.
Yeah.
You're going to have to figure this shit out. And he knows he's got that window. Chase, obviously, you're going to keep around for a while, and you hope that you can bookend him with Montez for a while. But it's going to get costly to keep these guys on the roster. So I think that it's a combination. If you can get What if you got Matt Stafford and Juju? You put
Anybody
Juju
to
next
make
to Terry
McLaurin's
McLaurin?
life easier would be great with me.
Right,
And if
right.
along with Terry, you could have a solid offense. Solid offense is better right than what the hell you have right now. You know,
Right.
It's not going to happen overnight.
Right.
You know?
So look, we can harp. We've got a whole off season to get to draft stuff for the Washington team, and we'll get into that. They're going into the playoffs this week. Neil, let's run through some of these wild card matchups, and let's all take some choices here. Abdullah, I don't like seeing 10-6 teams not make it, man. I'm not gonna shit on your Dolphins, bro. I can't imagine how stressful it was to fucking watch other teams be in control of your shit. Like
I really
that's
wanted
gotta suck.
Miami and Arizona to both make the playoffs.
Listen,
So,
if you realize the scenarios that Miami had to make the playoffs, you'd been like, this is a cakewalk, right? We win, or Cleveland loses, or Baltimore loses, or Indianapolis loses.
Yeah.
None of that shit happened.
Yeah.
Fuck this shit.
But I mean, the schedule gods didn't really help you because like Tennessee, it was Indianapolis, Jacksonville,
Tennessee was
right? Like that's just Jacksonville typically isn't that bad, but they were that bad.
It was
this
the
year.
worst. But yeah, Jacksonville kept me in it. Thanks to Zane over there.
I mean,
Fucking push notification.
I'm sorry.
About, hey,
I should have
watch
waited
the
till
game.
maybe they scored.
It's 20-14. They're driving.
21-14. Oh.
They were driving. I don't know what the hell happened.
And I was like, fuck, they were, yeah. When I turned it on, they were at the 49-yard line. I'm like, fuck, okay, yeah, they are driving.
Yeah, I know.
Next thing I know, it's like they just completely fall flat, and then Jonathan Taylor runs it for like.
Yeah.
bro, is
50
Buffalo
yards per touchdown.
Buffalo for real?
Hey, Josh Allen is nice.
Buffalo's my pick to come out. I don't know why. It's some delusional shit, possibly, especially with
You,
Casey in
you
the
think they're
picture.
beating the
But
Chiefs?
I like Buffalo a lot, man. That's all I'm
I
saying.
like Buffalo too. Josh Allen is sweet.
I like Buffalo a lot. And Diggs is a
Stephon Diggs.
fucking
So
animal.
let's go through these games.
All right.
Bills, Colts.
Bro, they
So-
had Matt Barkley throwing fucking bombs on darts on Sunday. Matt Barkley looked good. Jesus Christ. Okay, go
Bills,
on.
Colts. What do you say, Abdullah?
He's right, Jerry. He's right.
Bills, Colts. The Bills have been bulldozing through the AFC, through the NFL.
Jamal.
So I'm going Bills.
Bills.
Zane.
I'm going Bills. I think Colts have a great defense. They'll probably cover the 7-point spread. But I see Phillip Rivers just not getting it done late, throwing some picks.
Yep. I'm going Bills as well. All right. Steelers, Browns. Browns losing a bunch of their coaching staff and some players as well to another COVID outbreak. Abdullah, what do you say?
I'm going with Steelers. Browns, bad luck, man.
Yeah.
Jamal.
They finally win 10 games. Finally
Steelers also. I also read a tweet that some Browns players got they were drag racing the other day.
Oh, Jesus.
Oh,
What?
Lord.
No, I didn't.
Some Dwayne Haskins-ish up here.
So just a
That's how
comedy
they
of
got
errors.
COVID?
No, this is outside of the COVID massacre. But yeah, so I'm going Steelers easily.
Joe, what say you?
Steelers.
Zane?
The worst 11-1 team or 11-0 team in the history of the NFL.
Ever.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm rooting for the Browns, but I saw the line went from -3.5 Steelers to -6.5 Steelers literally overnight.
Yep.
Not a good sign. Going with the Steelers.
I'm going Steelers as well. I think this is going to be the best AFC game. Titans versus Ravens in a rematch.
Yes.
Ooh.
I love it. And I think the Titans are going to get them again.
What?
Yeah. Derrick Henry's unstoppable.
Mhm.
Tannehill is just perfect for that fucking team. A.J. Brown, they make big plays. The Titans show up, man. They show up.
Except when they went to Green Bay.
They're going to show up this weekend. The
Okay.
Titans.
Jamal, what about you?
I would like the Ravens to get revenge, but I'm going Titans also. And it's going to start a bunch of shit in Baltimore. All my friends up there, they're going to be mad as fuck. But yeah, I'm going Titans.
Joe?
All right. I'll go ahead, Joe.
Ravens.
Ooh.
Hmm.
Zane?
Got it to the point spread out there again. I was very surprised. Titans at home are a 3.5-point dog.
Mm-hmm.
Very
I did see
surprised.
that as well.
Wow.
I was
Very surprised.
surprised
Both
that
the
they're
four
a 3.5
seeds.
point dog. The people are betting on the Titans, but I don't like to go revenge angles often. And Tannehill in that offense is like one team right now that I could see would defy all the angles. That first half, the Ravens are going to come out fucking firing, and their goal is going to be to get up early and not be down. I know they signed a couple D linemen over the offseason. I don't know if that's going to help them. I don't know if Calais Campbell, I think he might be out, but Ngakwe, I don't know if he's playing, or whoever they have in the D line to try to stop Derrick Henry. I think it's going to be a great game. I'm going rooting for Tennessee, but I'm picking Baltimore.
I'm the exact same way as well. I'm rooting for Tennessee because I got way too many loudmouth Ravens fans, but I think the Ravens are going to win.
Game's going to be intense. You're right. It's the best game of the weekend.
All right.
All right, jumping into the NFC. Abdullah, Saints, Bears.
Saints.
Jamal?
Just pure Drew Brees. Saints.
I guess I go Saints. I like what the Bears have done this year, though. But
I do too.
Joe?
Saints. I'm not putting anything on Mitch Trubisky and the Bears.
Yep. Retweet. Zane?
Got to plug the spread in here again. The Saints are a 10-point favorite at home. I think the Saints over the years have been pretenders. I think they've been overrated, but I don't believe in Mitch Trubisky. I think he's fucking ass. He's not a quarter. He's not a pocket passer. He might be able to make some plays, but I see that Saints defense really showing up to this weekend.
Yeah, I think the Saints defense is going to lock up Allen Robinson, and then it's going to be game over. Saints going to win in the easy one.
It's a coaching mismatch too, but yeah.
All right, Abdullah, Seahawks versus Rams.
I love this matchup between DK and Jalen Ramsey. I always root for DK. I think Seahawks playoff football is going to show up. I don't believe in Jared Goff.
You might not be playing.
I'd like to. I'd like to.
He might not be playing.
Oh, he might not be playing. Okay, so even more so. Seahawks.
Jamal?
I wanted to talk about golf for a minute, but fuck it.
Well, Seahawks, definitely.
Joe?
Seahawks.
Zane?
And I love Sean McVay. Love.
Yeah.
If there's any coach that can pull this off, it's Sean McVay. Seattle's at home, which is not as scary as it used to be. I think the Rams defense is very good. This guy Wolford, if he plays, a lot of fans believe in him. I think the team believes in him. I think it also gives the defense an extra level of intensity. But one thing I have learned is to never, ever, ever bet against Russell Wilson. Seahawks.
Yeah. Yes. I just think it's too much of the common sense answer to bet against Russell Wilson. You got to go Seahawks.
It's hard. Yeah, you can't just
And then
I know which one's left.
To wrap it up, you're a Washington football team against the GOAT, Tom Brady. Chase Young said he wants some Tom Brady. So, Abdullah, what do you say?
Bucks. No further comment.
Yeah. Jamal?
Great story in Washington, but too many weapons from Tampa, and it's hard. You can't beat the GOAT, man.
Yep. Joe?
I'm going to go out on a limb here, and I'm going to say that Tom Brady and the Bucks win. And I also predict that Tom Brady will hit me in the thigh again with a football, with an incomplete pass, and make me famous on TV again, except this time in the playoffs.
Underrated gift.
Very underrated.
All right.
What's the line in this one?
This is it started at like
-7.
It started at 6.5, 7. Now it's up to 8.5.
Oh, where do Washington fans want to see it go, Zane?
Where they want to see it go?
Yeah.
They wanted to see it come back down.
Okay. If it starts coming back down on like Thursday, Friday, is that a good sign?
That's a very good sign. I mean, it could be if it comes down closer towards the games, like sharp bettors, which are people who place a lot of money, they usually bet early or they bet late. They bet when the spread comes out, or they bet closer towards game time. But what's a scary thing is that when a line crosses over 7, 3 and 7 are the numbers that if a line crosses over, it's something to be wary of, because most games end in divisions of 3 and 7 or multiples of 3 and 7. And Vegas would love a push, right? If the line is 7, you bet it, you don't win your money. You get it back, but you don't win. But they make money off the vig, which is the tax and the juice, right? You see what I'm saying? So anytime a line crosses over 7 or 3, it's not a good sign from my history. So that's not good. But if the line comes down any which way from this point, from 8.5, it's a good sign. But I anticipate that line going up to 9, 9.5, to be honest with you. I'm sorry. Let me go through my pick real quick. Does someone have a question? Sorry.
No,
this is so fucking enlightening, man.
Okay. So basically, if the Washington football team wins this will be probably, to me, I don't care, from a football standpoint, the biggest upset in a long fucking time. I know people actually think that the Washington football team can win. There's actually fans that have been telling me they wanted Tampa. They wanted Tampa to be the team that played the Washington football team. And if I'm wrong and they win, that would be insane. But from every standpoint, I don't see it happening. This should be a blowout, okay? If it's not a blowout, my prediction is first half Tom Brady struggles, blah, blah, blah. And once they go in halftime, they come out just like Aaron Rodgers did 5 years ago against Washington football team. After that, they went quick game, quick slants, quick passes, and they wore us the fuck down. And I think if it's a close first half, I think they come out at halftime and they put up 21-28 second half points, and it's gonna be bad.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Bucks as well, but I'm hoping it's not as much of a bloodbath as Zane is making it out to be.
If there's one saving grace, it's that Tom is not a mobile quarterback, and the mobile quarterback is who they struggled with most this year.
Jalen Hurts, Kyler Murray, Russell Wilson.
You talk about, there are certain positions on the football team that matter more than others. On offense, it's obviously the quarterback. On defense, it's the position that Chase Young plays. Yeah. And if he has that kind of ability to fucking throw a wrench into some shit that's supposed to happen, but it has to be consistent for the whole game.
Yeah,
and Washington's going to have to play.
But here's the thing, Tom, Brady can get rattled.
Right.
And Brady can get rattled. If his line starts to crumble and Chase and John Allen and all those guys start to dominate the trenches, and Tom gets rattled, that could set the tone for the
Tampa's
entire
had
game.
an O-line weakness all year. The scary thing is that I think their offense has been extremely underwhelming all year, to be honest with you. I've been very disappointed.
Yeah.
The last couple of weeks they've been coming into their own. So
But I tuned into the Bucks game, and it was close. It was like within 3 points. And then I went and got my camera equipment set up, and I came back and they had 44 fucking points on the board. And I was like, what the fuck just happened? What just fucking happened to the Falcons, who have, put up a hell of a fight with other teams all season long too. So, well, triple header on Saturday and Sunday. That's kind of exciting. I love this time of year. I absolutely love this time of year. All right, so that's NFL. Guys, I'm going to give you 2 minutes on the clock here to give me your opinion of the 2-5 Washington Wizards. 2-5, I believe. Is that right, Neil?
Yep, that is correct.
Yeah. So obviously the first 5 games were absolute dog shit. Dog shit. And the coach also I'll let you guys go, man. I've said my piece about the Wizards in our group chat. I don't need to say it out loud.
Neil, this is Neil's show.
Obviously embarrassing start, 0-5, and not just 0-5, but 0-5 when you had back-to-backs against Orlando and back-to-backs against Chicago. That is easy. Come on. Literally, Steve Clifford, the Orlando coach, was like, it's so hard to beat a team back-to-back games. And the Wizards let it happen to them twice. That's embarrassing, and that can't happen. But you are dealing with the fact that you're integrating a new franchise point guard less than a month into the trade actually going down. So
and they won a game without him.
Right. They won against the Minnesota Timberwolves, who were also without Karl Anthony Towns. But they'll get better. Their defense is still crap. Like their transition defense is still horrendous. But
I'm gonna make one statement about the Wizards, and it's a positive one.
Ooh.
And it's that Thomas Bryant is exactly who Tommy Shepard thought he was.
It's looking like a good contract. 3 years, $25 million.
It's great.
Yeah.
I saw him in one sequence. It ended in a turnover, but in one sequence, he absolutely mauled a player for a block, got a steal, was able to actually push it in transition.
And then hurt himself.
Threw a bad pass, right? You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, he hurt his shin after that. He was on the floor.
Turned it over. But it happened in the span of 30 seconds, and he was just all over the floor.
Yeah.
His energy.
Love his energy.
Exactly what Tommy saw, and exactly why he denied every free agent center. And it's paying off. I think that's the biggest thing about the Wizards.
I also really enjoyed Thomas too, and I don't know, that exchange at the end of the Brooklyn game when Brad was like hyping the fuck out of Thomas. Yeah, I saw something kind of unique there. Like they're really believing in him. They believe he can be that true kind of real, at this point maybe second option, because I don't rely on Russ for offense at this point. I think it's just a bonus. And I say that respectfully, but Russ his field goal percentage.
Hey, Russ is the fourth option with Rui as the third.
Yeah. So I love what's going on with Thomas. I think he's going to be in there probably if he keeps us up to running for most improved player because he's doing stuff on both ends of the floor, and it was clear like the team. I mean, we knew what Brad was, and at the time we knew what John was, but Thomas is almost that kind of piece that Tommy Shepard spoke about, like. We know what else he needs to do, and he clearly worked on his game, and he's more than just an offensive kind of spark plug at this point. The other highlight is, I love watching Denny, man. The dude is he plays well beyond his years, and he plays, under control, and he doesn't give a fuck about scoring. He just plays right in that specific niche they need him to play in. So seeing him, start the break, he jumping passing lanes, clear people out on offense, direct traffic. Like I love all that shit because he's shaping up to be a really good pick for us, and I'm glad he fell to Washington.
If there's one thing that I've become accustomed to that is not similar to the past, it's my trust in Tommy Shepard identifying international talent better than his predecessor.
Yeah,
because his predecessor couldn't have found shit in Europe, Asia, you name it. Like I didn't trust Ernie for shit, but Tommy seems to be able to identify guys who, like you said, Jamal, don't give a shit about the points. Yeah. It's more about the team basketball. Yep. And that's probably one of the benefits of playing Euroball at such a young age is that you got to kind of learn.
Yeah, when you're going pro at 14,
they learn about winning and making the right play every single time, day in and day out.
Yeah,
right. Zane, have you caught any Wizards, or are you catching up on the Golden State Warriors? And
I watched one game, and Jesus Christ, I mean, it's painful, man.
Which game did you watch?
Watch that Magic game. I think it was the first or second one.
Yeah,
and
they're both trash.
But here's the thing, man. For me, it's all about not perception, but I believe in staying medium. They're 0-5. Look, they have some young players. They don't have enough talent. I don't think they have the talent yet. So when they beat someone like the Nets, I don't care. I don't want to hear about it. I don't. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just don't care, right? Because it's 82 game season, right? So at this point, if I watch this team, I really have no expectations, and I'm not getting too high if they win a big game, and I'm not getting too low if they lose to the Magic, right? It's gonna take time. It's a lot of work.
I still don't know what to make of them. I still don't know what to make of them. They could,
but that's my philosophy. I'm not even thinking about it.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Because you're never gonna figure that out.
They could absolutely go out and get cooked tomorrow against
exactly.
Right. What is Brad's mindset?
Well,
he's got to be kind of looking at it the way we do, right? To a certain degree.
But at the same time, he's much more willing to be patient with things. He's going to see, okay, how does this season turn out? After this season, he will make all the decisions that he needs to make for his well-being and his future career. Right now, there's no reason to press a panic button because to him, they have all of their goals still in front of them that they can still achieve. I think when they're in the playoffs and then they're unfortunately in that 7-10 play-in tournament instead of the 6 seed safe, they're gonna be like, oh shit, that 0-5 start really did us in, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think he's hoping they can turn it around, but
I know where you're going with this.
How does Russ feel about Scotty? Like, how does he really like him as a coach?
Well, I don't think you're ever gonna get a straight answer out of him even if you tried. So you would think that they're on good terms, right?
I would think they're on good terms because I think Scotty just lets Russell fly.
Correct.
Right? Without any real game plan.
It's what he did in Oklahoma City, right?
Nothing really.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's exactly what he did in Oklahoma City.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why and that's why I've said before, like, when we heard Russ tell Scotty, hey, you're running the same shit you did in OKC, I was like, oh, fuck, man, that's not what I want to hear.
Mm-hmm. Here's what I know about Russell Westbrook and the Washington Wizards. Yeah, I think he's number 4 all-time or number 3 all-time now on the triple-double list, and he'll beat the record. He'll surpass the record by March.
This isn't a knock on any player.
Is that going in the rafters?
This isn't a knock on any player. My perception is that, like you kind of said, Scott Brooks, Russell Westbrook, letting him do his thing. I think Beal is very similar. I think he wants to showcase his talent. I think he wants to put up his numbers. I also think he wants to win. but I also don't think he's going to bitch and moan at the end of the season if they don't make the playoffs. If they're not having a good time, obviously winning is having a good time, right? But if he's getting along with the team, he's able to put up his numbers, he's able to be showcase his talent, and he sees improvement. I think he'll be happy. That's my opinion. I think Russell Westbrook's the same way.
I think if they miss the playoffs, whether it's in the planned tournament or not, Beal is gone. Beal said he said, I care about winning. That's all I care about. I want to win now, and that's what he wants.
I mean, that's what I would say too, right?
And so,
I don't eat ass. Disgusting. You know.
So you got that Rui of the eye.
Oh man,
that's the episode right there.
I voted.
Ass.
Like, just kidding.
I don't need ass. That's great. Well, at least, hey, here's a silver lining. At least they're not the Raptors right now. Is that they're underperforming?
Raptors,
they're underperforming.
Who they?
The Tampa Bay Raptors.
The Tampa Bay Raptors, right? And they're not the Pistons either. They won the 2 games that they needed to at the right time, and now they're only 4 games back of the 76ers. It just feels like a lot more because the team is certainly not in the same boat as them. But anyways, I digress. That's your Wizards update. And speaking of underperforming, let's switch over to our final segment, Detention. We have 3 candidates today, gentlemen. We're going to do 3 minutes here. So get out what you need to get out. Von Miller is hopeful for a miscarriage. Brazilian President José Bolsonaro says that the vaccine might turn people into alligators. And Capadonna has an album cover that looked like it was drawn by Sabrina. Let's go. Detention.
Oh, Vaughn.
Oh, Vaughn. I know.
Yeah. So Vaughn made a mistake.
Yeah.
And had a real awkward solution to cleaning it up.
Let me just say, I don't know about you guys, but I've had pregnancy scares growing up. Did I hope for a miscarriage or pray that someone has a change of heart and go get an abortion? Absolutely not. But you feel like sometimes like, oh shit, like my future's going to be taking a different path that I didn't expect. But 2 things: I didn't put it in writing, and I wasn't a public figure. Like, you're a star athlete, dog. Like,
former Super Bowl MVP.
You don't know motherfuckers get blasted on text like every fucking day. Like, it's just a way of life when you're at that level in your life. And
so
he fucked up.
For me, it's like some weird moral ground that Von Miller thought he was taking. Like, I'm not gonna ask her for an abortion. I'm just gonna hope for like the natural.
Just hope God aborts this creation that you
like. We're not gonna do it. God,
that you took part in. Like, get the fuck out of here.
And he probably felt at that moment like that's an okay thing to wish for, right? Like, let's just hope it naturally.
He like typed that text. I was like, yeah, that's it. That makes sense. Yeah.
Oh, terrible, man.
Yeah, I'll take him on to watch the football team if you want.
It was it was the degree to which he went, right? Because like you could be like, I can't have another kid, or I don't. But to go all the way to say that you wanted something to happen, that a ton of people go through this world, like actually having gone through, and it fucking wrecks their lives, dude. Wrecks their lives. Like,
but here's the thing: the chances that there is that one of your text messages or your DMs is going to get leaked.
Yeah,
I wouldn't say shit if I'm an athlete.
No. But why does anybody? But how come it says Von Miller at Outlook.com? What the hell is that about?
What's that?
I don't know, man.
Fucking weird.
I don't really look into
who's still using Outlook.
Shit.
That's what I don't
Von
get.
Miller.
He also had the sex tape scandal too, by the way. He's being extorted for a sex tape years ago. If you guys remember that.
Damn, I forgot
man.
About
So
that.
this man just needs to change his password from password.
Von Miller still got a fucking AOL account, man.
I'll take
it. Von Miller at AOL.com.
Man, but this Brazilian president, this man, like Trumpian shit out here with this idiocy. Like,
well, he's like the South American Trump, right?
Oh man, I can't believe we need to just eradicate the world of these people.
Is he not serving the vaccine to his people because they'll turn into alligators? Where did this come from?
Amazing.
That was his stance. I don't know if he's withholding from the Brazilian population, but he was probably offered, the vaccine early, just as kind of a tone-setting thing for his people. But he stays saying crazy shit, and so this wasn't too much of a surprise. But Jesus Christ, man, alligators.
It's like the same thing as, oh yeah, drink some bleach, that'll get rid of the Rona. Like,
Yeah.
It was I remember the Cheech and Chong where they turned into lizard people because they smoked pot, but alligators because of a COVID vaccine seems kind of odd to me, but I digress. What a fucking strange, what a strange detention this week. Let's wrap with Capadonna here. This album cover from hell.
Didn't we just talk about old head rappers and how they needed, some of them just need to hang it up?
Yeah.
I don't know. I wonder who did that. So we got to put this in the show notes or something. But Capadonna put on his IG very proudly his album cover for his shit about the drop, and he's squatting like jail pose shit.
Shoot on your breast.
And his face is half man, half lion, but it looks so fucking bad.
Yeah, it's not even flush. Like it's not even flush.
It's like misaligned and shit. Like, does that split face thing ever work at all? I feel like that has very low.
Teen Wolf
very low
was the last time I saw it work. Teen Wolf. Yeah.
You in the 80s references.
half Michael J. Fox face and half Wolf Man.
Yeah, poor Kappa, man. Because if that comes out, that means there are people around you like, yo, that actually looks hot. Like,
I'm surprised.
I feel really bad for these guys. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Yeah.
Those rappers that are not living that lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like, to be a rapper, right? You're rapping about shit you have. Yeah. And you got into that shit. I got the rollie and then I got to drive in the Mercedes, blah, blah, when you're fucking not. Right? Yeah. It's fucking sad.
It pains me to see some of my favorites still making albums, man. Yeah. Still saying dumb shit on Twitter
like
and like all that.
Who's like top 3 worst member of Wu-Tang, right? He's not bad. I'm not saying that.
But yeah, he's not a ghost.
He's right.
Another music segment.
He's right. I was gonna say I really hate Wu-Tang slander, but Cat was probably my least favorite rapper on that.
You Got was my least favorite.
He never rhymed. No, You Got actually made.
I hate You Got's voice, but yeah, Cap never rhymed. Yeah,
I never liked You Got, but at least Kappa has a classic verse across hip hop, not just Wu-Tang. Kappa's verse on Winter Wars, come on, man, classic.
It sounds to me.
Yeah, I guess a higher ceiling than You Got for me.
Sounds to me like we've got a segment for another episode. The best and worst.
You're gonna crown Kappa off of one lyric, one verse?
How do you
when you're going that deep on the bench?
But he has one more classic verse than You Got does. He has one more classic verse than You Got does.
I can't name one thing I ever like You Got said.
Stop Brooks' rotation, Capadonna. He gonna get that 35.
Is Jerome Robinson
just didn't come around to him.
I hated You Got.
We need to start a dialogue.
Best and worst of Wu-Tang. That's the segment coming soon to the next episode of Participation.
You heard it here
Trophy
first.
Podcast.
That's right.
Fantastic. That means, Ho, you've been shitted on. I'm not the first dog that shitted on your lawn. Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, we went long. We're not gonna charge you extra money for it. You didn't hear from us the week before New Year's, so this is your extra time.
Price of the ring going on.
Bringing in 2021 with us. We look forward to pumping out a whole bunch of episodes this year. I'm Joe. That's Jamal. Abdullah, Sabrina, Neil.
Sabrina's here. Yes, sir.
Beautiful. Welcome to the family, Sabrina. Welcome to the family. Don't listen to this podcast because it's rated X, rated R, rated X17, whatever it is. Peace out, y'all.
Peace.
Peace.